So one of the most underrated, difficult seasons of someone's life is the season between graduating college or graduating high school and entering into adult life for the first time. In my experience as a youth pastor, working with adults and young adults, it is pretty obvious that this season of people's lives is hugely underrated as far as difficulty. I read a book years back that called the quarter life crisis that a lot of young adults go through at whatever time they kind of finally break free from being a student and have to step into the workforce and become an adult. So what I want to do in the next few minutes is I want to share with you all 7 things, 7 words of advice I would give to someone who's either freshly entered that stage or is about to enter that stage. Our early 20s can be really difficult. It can be a lot of adjusting. And these are things I wish someone would have shared with me when I was 22 years old, graduating college and facing adult life for the first time. So the first thing is this. It's important that we figure out what we value when we begin to launch into adulthood. The same way that a chair, most chairs are held up by 4 different legs, our values hold us up. And in the midst of uncertainty, in the midst of the different things that happen in our life, our values are the things that keep us steady. They serve as a filter for us to make decisions through. When you're in your 20s, when you start adulthood, there are a lot of decisions you have to make. Decisions about work, about career, about college major, about a spouse. And these decisions can feel very overwhelming. And it is important to think through ahead of time. What are the things in your life that you value the most? If you value family a lot, then you're going to want to situate your life. You're going to want to marry someone that also values family. You're going to want to find a job that allows you to be involved in your family's life and doesn't have you working 100 hours a week at a job. If you value financial security and you value wealth, then you're probably going to want to find the job that pays the most amount of money because that's a high value you have. As a Christian, as a pastor, the most important value I have is my faith and making sure that whatever I do, that my whole life is oriented around serving Jesus. And if that's a value that undergirds my life, then I need to make sure the decisions I make as an adult are in alignment with that value. Otherwise, you're going to face a time in which your life is going in a certain direction that doesn't really align with what you value, and it's going to be really discouraging, and it's going to make you consider really changing a lot about your life in a jarring way. So figure out what you value. When you're young, when you're a young adult, it's a great time to think through what are the things in my life that I value the most. And then as you make more decisions, as you proceed the next 7 years of your life, those values will undergird your decision making and give you a stable footing in the midst of the chaos and the trials that life will eventually bring you. So first thing, you need to figure out what you value as a young adult. Second thing is you need to figure out how God made you. We are always going to thrive the most when we're living in alignment with the way God has made us. God has made each of you unique. He's given you unique passions and gifts and talents. And you should really try to figure out what those are. When you're young, it's a great time to figure out, how is it that God has made me? What is it? What are my personality strengths and weaknesses? What are the things that really get me excited or really get me angry? Because negative emotion can also reveal things about who we are as well. And then with that knowledge, you can pursue career paths, pursue ministry opportunities that align with the way that God has made you. So figure out how God's made you, figure out how He's wired you, figure out His unique design for your life. And if you can, it's really helpful to figure out, no matter what you do, what is the thing that you are made to do that's unique and specific to you? Because I think if you figure out what that is, and you allow your work, your home, your life, your job to reinforce and to work in alignment with who God's made you to be, it's going to lead to a lot of a lot of joy, and a lot of purpose in the things you do. Third thing is this, and this is something that was shared last night from other adult leaders within our youth group, and it's the importance of finding mentors and asking them for advice frequently. As a young adult, it's really helpful to know that there is a lot that you guys do not know, that there are a lot of blind spots you have. And it's really helpful to find adults, at least one life stage ahead of you, that are living the kind of life you would kind of like to live. And don't be afraid to ask them for advice about things. Ask them how they went about choosing their spouse. Ask them what led them to choosing the career they chose. Maybe ask them how they do their taxes and those kinds of things. We need people that we respect, that care about us, if you're a Christian, that have deep faith, because they will be anchors for us. And I'd say if you can, try to find 3 adults in your life that you really process through your life with, that are wise, a life stage ahead of you, that care about you, they have chemistry with, and do not be afraid to ask them questions or to ask them for help as you navigate all the difficult decisions you're going to make. So try to find 1 to 3 adults, mentors that are life stage ahead of you that you can learn from and ask them questions frequently. Number 4 is along those same lines. While it's good to have mentors, it's also good to have peers that share your values. Now, one thing that's really important to note is that when you graduate high school or when you graduate college, whenever it is that you begin to start adult life, this is one thing I found talking to young adults all over, that your friend group goes from here to here. That suddenly you have a default friend group of 15 people that you can hang out with whenever you want to, that you see every day at school. But then when you enter in the workforce, suddenly that it almost feels like you go down to nothing because your friends aren't really working the same job as you. And at your work, there are people there that you don't really know, and that might be like 30 years older than you. So it is really important, one, to realize that part of being an adult is learning that quality matters far more than quantity in regard to friendships. If you can find 1 to 3 people that share your values that I mentioned, that care about you, that you get along with really well, prioritize those friendships and invest in those friendships. Be the very best friend you can be to those people and prioritize them over other people in your life. Because if you find a really good friend or a really good small group of friends, there's a chance that those can be friends that you have throughout your entire life. And having a few good friends your entire life is far more than most adults have. Most adults have no one. Most adults have no really good friends they feel like they can really open up to you, that really connect with them personally. So try to find 1 or 2 or 3 of those people, prioritize them relationally, be a really good friend to them, and hopefully, Lord willing, they can maybe be a friend that lasts your entire life. And if that's the case, it is so worth it. The 5th thing is take risks and learn from them. It's very easy to do what's comfortable, but doing what's comfortable doesn't result in growth. If you're going to the gym and you want to get stronger, you don't get stronger by lifting the same weights you lifted a month ago. You get stronger by lifting more weight. The way in which you understand how strong you are is by maxing out. And yeah, you don't max out all the time, but you do it sometimes because it tests you. And you learn where you're at, and you force your muscles to grow. In life, especially in these early years, a lot of you guys are going to be single. A lot of you guys don't have families yet. It's a great time to take risks, try new things, to not be afraid to fail. And if you try something and do fail, view it as a chance to learn and to grow. One of the things that one of my Old Testament survey professors shared with me my freshman year of college that's always stuck with me. And for context, this is back when I couldn't get through a 10-second conversation without stumbling my words. He said to the entire class, it was like 70 of us, whenever you get a chance to teach, always say yes. When I heard that, I was terrified because I knew that I was an awful teacher, an awful communicator in general. But I took his advice. When I was given the chance to teach, I taught. And I will tell you, for many years, I was really bad at teaching, really bad at speaking. I still struggle with teaching and speaking sometimes now as a seasoned adult, as someone's been doing this for 10 years. But what's really cool is by taking that risk over and over and over again and learning from the mistakes I made, I become a much better speaker, much more confident communicator, and it has been vital for me as I've stepped in to pastoral leadership for 10 years. My most important time in my life was my freshman year of college when I left Wakanda, Illinois, and went all the way to Spokane, Washington to spend a year going to Moody, Spokane, where I didn't really know anybody. I didn't know where I was going to live. I didn't even know if I was going to find a job or I was going to pay for it. I felt like God was calling me to go there, so I went. And I'm so happy I did. The friends that I have from college, I met in Spokane. I am still in contact with a couple of them today. The confidence socially that I developed from being in a situation where I was fight or flight, sink or swim is a confidence I've retained throughout my life and has really helped me have the courage to step into new challenges that life has brought me. Take risks. Don't be afraid to do something you've never done before. Don't be afraid to do something scary or to do something you're not good at. It's never a waste if you learn from the experience and you develop resilience and courage. That will serve you well the rest of your life. The sixth thing is dream big. Have big dreams, have big ambitions, but know that big dreams require patience, discipline, and faithfulness in the little things. You should strive to have the very best physique, for example, you can possibly have. Have big ambitions for that. Be as strong as you can get. Be as fast as you can get. But then once you have that dream, realize that now you have the duty to do the work. You have to be in the gym 4 times a week. You have to lift heavy weights. You have to work your explosive muscles. You have to do high intensity workouts to burn calories and to make you more explosive. You have to do cardio, even though cardio is the worst thing in the entire world because that helps your heart. If you want to have the best physique, that's a great dream to have, but you need to have the patience, the discipline to not shortchange the process. Now, if you decide you're going to have the discipline, the patience needed, what's really cool is that usually you end up achieving that goal or getting really close to that goal and making a ton of progress you never thought you could make. If you want to be a really great father and husband one day, that doesn't happen overnight. It happens through daily disciplines of engaging with your spouse, loving your kids, training your kids, investing in your kids, disciplining your kids. If you want to be great at any aspect of your life, it requires work, patience, and time. Beautiful cathedrals in Europe that have stood for thousands of years. They were built brick by brick. A lot of people that started working on those cathedrals didn't live to see the end of their construction. But they were working towards something that was going to stand for far longer than they would. When you put in the discipline, when you have the patience, when you take the time to do things right, you could build a cathedral that lasts for 1,000 years, that lasts longer than your life. Dream big. have big ambitions, but put in the work and practice patience and faithfulness in the little things. That's the best way at achieving your long-term dreams. And the final one is this, and I'm speaking to Christians specifically right here. If you guys want to hang on to your faith, if your faith is a value that you have in your life, find a church and get involved as quickly as possible. I went to Moody Bible Institute and I saw a lot of people take weeks, months to find a church. And what happens usually is they never actually find a church they are willing to commit to. And that whole time they're trying to find the perfect church. They're void of community. They don't have deep connections. And their faith begins to drift further and further away from Jesus. You are never going to find a perfect church. I'd say find a church that you agree theologically with, where the preaching that's there preaching and worship resonate with you and connect with you, and where you have certain individuals and some people in the church that you really connect with at a relational level. If those three metrics are met, then I say go to that church, serve in that church, commit to that church. I guarantee you'll find in time that the church is not perfect, that there are issues within church because people are broken. And guess what? People are pastors and people serve in ministries. Because of our brokenness, the church is a little bit broken and every church is a little bit broken. But that doesn't change the fact that we need it. That doesn't change the fact that God has designed it to serve a vital purpose in helping us grow and keeping us connected to Jesus. So find a church as quickly as you can, get connected and start serving as quickly as you can. And I think that will be I think you will not regret doing that if you do it. So those are 7 things that I want to say to you guys, young adults out there, graduating seniors out there, anybody in their early 20s, late teens that is transitioning into adulthood, or even people that are already in adulthood but haven't thought about these things. I hope these 7 things resonate with you. I hope in the next 10, 15, 20 years, that you build the kind of life that honors the Lord, that gives you meaning, and that you build the foundation with intentionality, and you build the foundation as well as you possibly can. The foundation you build in these years will be the foundation that your entire life is built upon. Don't waste the next few years. Use them, be intentional with them, and trust the Lord that He's going to place the bricks in the right place and build that foundation that's going to stand for 1,000 years. You guys are awesome. I love you guys. Peace.